Hey guys, welcome to today's video where I'm going to talk to you about the top fishing kayaks of 2021.
Fish on! That's a toad, brother. Golly!
All right, so before we jump into today's video, a few things I want to get out of the way up front. First and foremost, I am not sponsored by or compensated to do this video by anyone, okay? I am going to disclose up front that I am sponsored for my television show by Bonafide Kayaks, but you'll see in this video I'm very objective and I position them where I think they belong, regardless of my personal bias. Now, in addition to that, I'm also sponsored by Fish USA, America's tackle shop, and they don't even sell some of these boats. So I just wanted to get that out of the way to let you guys know this isn't one of those advertorial, videos where I went out and got a bunch of money like you see with some of these aggregators that do the best of videos. A lot of those videos are really just video ads. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the best of 2021, and let me tell you the criteria that I used to make these determinations. One was the popularity of the model on social media and Google searches. Next was the availability or lack of availability because they were so popular that they sold out at retailers, and I called a bunch of retailers to do interviews and ask them questions. The other thing was just the sheer popularity of the kayak, again, both in social media, out on the kayak bass fishing tournament trail, and just again in general through social media searches. So again, here's some variables that I took into account, and I've tried to make this as lack of subjectivity as I possibly could. I've got an acronym that you should use if you're trying to scrape together enough money to buy a fishing kayak, and here's what that acronym is. The S stands for stability and standability. I've used this in the past and I'll be using this throughout the year, but the SCRAPE acronym is what I'm going to use to do all of my kayak fishing reviews this year. The C stands for comfort, okay? The R stands for riggability, because I think as fishermen, we really want our boats to be as riggable or easy to rig as possible, but it also added another R this year, and you'll see that that comes into play for the tiebreaker for best fishing kayak of 2021, and that's reliability, okay? If we can't rely on the boat, that is something that you have to take into account. The A is affordability. Now, I took affordability and I kind of modeled it for how much it costs and what you get, not just straight price point, because I do think that that is a factor that everybody should consider. I didn't actually factor in affordability in my last best of video, and I got a lot of feedback on it, and so I definitely made sure that that was a factor I considered. The next one is the P in SCRAPE, which is performance. And performance could be, how well it motors, how well it pedals, or how well it paddles. In both the positive and negative reviews and feedback that I see, I called 5 or 6 anglers from each of these brands that I knew that I could find in social media to get their opinion on it. And so I used that to go into my proprietary metric for how I determined this. But again, it was very extensively researched. I started back in August, did it through September and October, and just now got around to kind of finalizing it. And then the E stands for everything else. Everything else could be transportability. It could be storage ability, resale value, kind of all the other factors that you should consider when it comes to purchasing a fishing kayak. And again, I'll be doing a step-by-step evaluation of almost all of the popular fishing kayaks out there. And when I say almost, I tried this last year. Availability was a nightmare, so I'm going to do the best I can to do all of these boats plus others throughout the 2022 season. So coming in at number 9 is the Wilderness Systems Recon. Now, not the pedal version of it, and I think that the Wilderness Systems Recon would be a more popular boat if the pedal drive version of it was just a little bit better. I think that that pedal drive is one of the least reliable in the industry. It could have been designed a little bit better, but again, if there is a negative bump that I see on that boat, it's about the pedal drive. But the actual Recon 120 itself is a killer boat. I actually borrowed one from a couple of friends. I got to do some time in ones that I paddled. I got to do some times in the pedal ones, and again, I wasn't a fan, but I really loved that boat motored. You put a Torpedo or a Bixby or a Newport Vessels or Insoap motor here, especially on the stern. I didn't get a chance to try it with a bow mount, but that boat really did well. It rigs out really nice. It's affordable for what you get. It's definitely got all the other stuff, and it probably was one of the better performing boats in the performance category, if not maybe even the best. So coming in at number 9, the Wilderness Systems Recon 120. Number 8, I think this boat would have done better if it wasn't having availability issues and they didn't have a little bit of a bump in the road with molding issues right out of the gate, and that is the NuCanoe Unlimited. I did get a chance to review that boat. I'll put the link in the description box. At ICAST this year, I got to touch it, feel it. I didn't get a chance to get in that boat. And of the boats that I'm reviewing on here, it's the only one that I didn't actually get a chance to put my butt in, but I have one on order. I've been waiting on it. As soon as I get it in, I'm gonna do my 3-part video series on it. My initial overview, my full day of fishing on the water, and then my final thoughts, rigging, and advanced rigging for each of these kayaks. So coming in at number 8, again, the NuCanoe Unlimited. All right, so there's 2 brands that made the list twice. So coming in at number 7, Vibe makes another appearance. And again, it could have been because other kayaks weren't available. It could have been because Vibe upped their game. And it also could probably be that Vibe is available at more retailers, and a lot of retailers where, you know, they can't get the premium brand, so they focus all their efforts into selling Vibe. So that's just one of the things that I think may be a factor there. But coming in at number 7 is the Vibe Sea Ghost. Now, that boat has been very popular kind of as the beginner, entry-level kind of gateway boat, and I think it's still occupying that, but I see a lot of folks that have been kayak fishing for 7, 8, 10 years that are still using that boat. So number 7 is the Vibe Sea Ghost. All right, so coming in at number 6, and this boat may have come in a little bit higher if the company didn't have competition in its own category, and I'll explain that. So coming in at number 6 is the Old Town Big Water PDL 132. Now, that boat may have ranked a little bit higher, but I think the issue is that they also offer the salty version and they offer the topwater. And I think that the topwater and the salty within the Old Town brand may even cannibalize some of their sales. So that's a little bit of what I heard out there when I talked to different people. And again, so coming in at number 6 is the Old Town Big Water PDL 132. Now, the only real tie that I had on this entire list was a boat that tied with itself. So I felt like instead of bumping somebody out of number 10, I'm just going to tie this boat up and put it in the same position. And that's the Jackson Bite and the Bite FD. Most of my research determined that people that bought the Bite are about 50-50 split between the Bite, which is a really good entry-level price point boat. I did quite a bit of time in that boat this year. I did a couple of reviews on it, and the Bite FD. I did get to paddle and pedal the Bite FD. I didn't get to spend 3 or 4 days in it. I actually just got to jump in on it on a river trip in the Ozarks. And I got to test it out, and I think that the boat performs really well. So the Jackson Bite and Bite FD come in kind of tied at 5th place, and I don't really know which one is going to pull into the lead. I think if Jackson maybe had a little bit more reliability with their pedal drive, or if they hadn't had some issues in the past that they're trying to get past, I think the Bite FD might have even been more popular. All right, so coming in at number 4 is the Native Titan 12. Now, this is going to be another one of those scenarios where that boat may have done better if there weren't issues with rudders and rudder handles and aftermarket stuff that anglers had to purchase. And I also think that that boat competes with itself because there's a 10 and a 13.5 foot version. But I just found in my research and in the feedback from anglers that paddled it and pedaled it and motored it and all those things, that the Native Titan 12 seemed to be the most popular version out of that. The other Titans didn't make the top 10, but again, they probably contribute a little bit to the cannibalization of some of the sales of the Native Titan kayaks. Would it have broken into the top 3 without that? I'm not sure. So that's going to be something you guys are going to have to decide for yourself. It's a stable platform, super comfortable seat, great when it comes to riggability and reliability. It's affordable for what you get. The performance for a pedal drive or a boat that motors, it actually motors really well because it's got so much volume in the stern that it planes really well. And planing holes actually perform better with a motor on them than displacement holes, which is what most kayaks are. So this is probably going to be the place where if somebody accuses me of being biased, this will be it. And that's because coming in at number 3 is the boat that I spend the most time in, and that would be the Bonafide SS 127. Again, I'm biased. I helped design this boat. It's like judging your own kid in a beauty pageant. And so I do think it's got great stability, standability. It's got good comfort. One of the most comfortable, if not the most comfortable seat on the market. You know, again, riggability, reliability, not a lot of issues. It's affordable. It's one of the more affordable boats at its quality level on this list. The performance is great. If it does have a rub on it, it's that it rotates in the wind, but it's only a 12'7" boat. They came out with those flex fins, which, by the way, I've never used. I actually use a power pole and drop it down a little bit, a motor, or just drop an anchor wizard off the front to arrest any kind of drift or weather veining. And I do that with any boat that I'm in, so it's not just exclusive to the Bonafide SS127. I know a lot of you guys are going to say, what about the P127? I just got that later this year, so that'll be a 2022 thing. That boat hasn't been out on the market in 2021, so that'll be later. But number one and number two comes down to the Hobie Pro Angler 360 and the Old Town Sportsman Autopilot 136. So I'm going to start this off by saying that these boats were both very popular. I'm also going to start this off by saying that Hobie might have suffered from the fact that there's other more affordable versions, and that the PA itself, so if you took the Pro Angler platform overall, it probably would hands down repeat as the best boat of the year. But specifically, I saw the 360 displace the PA14 and the PA12 in popularity amongst anglers across the board. I had dealers raving about it. But here's what it really came down to when it came to the tiebreaker. Affordability and reliability, okay? And what I mean by that is the Old Town Autopilot is significantly less expensive than the PA. And if you go in and go ahead and buy yourself the most expensive battery out there, you're still getting back to right about the same price. And then the Autopilot Sportsman can be paddled if your motor breaks down. And I feel like that the Pro Angler is a lot more difficult, at least the one that I own, is a little bit more difficult to paddle if you're not using your pedal drive or a motor. So the tiebreaker for me, when it really came down to deciding which one of these was number one and number two, was volume sales, which, by the way, the Old Town Autopilot won that category pretty substantially from all the stuff that I can find. They did a great job of marketing that boat this year. And not that Hobie doesn't. Hobie always does a great job of marketing their products. But the reliability probably was the thing that tipped the whole scales in the favor of the Old Town Sportsman Autopilot 136. And what I mean by that is there were several issues or instances throughout the year where the Pro Angler 360 had some issues. There's quite a few videos out there about it. I'm not going to link them up. I'm not trying to shovel mud. In fact, again, you know, one of my sponsors actually sells this boat. So, you know, for all of you folks out there to say, man, he's biased. I'm not biased. I'm trying to do the best I can to be as even keeled as I can. But I just got to be honest with you. The reliability thing will probably get worked out next year or this year going into next year. It may even be worked out now. Again, I don't own a 360. I bought a Hobie Pro Angler, the 180. So I had the 180 drive. I thought it was cool. All the promotion and marketing videos of that 360 show it off to be pretty awesome. I did borrow Jody Queen's, so I got to try it out, and it's everything they say it is. But if you get into the reliability issue, and I just saw quite a few anglers that had problems with them throughout the tournament series this year. And I think if they just get that little thing dialed in, they'll probably displace Old Town Sportsman as the number one boat again next year, because I declared them the best fishing kayak of all time last year. But there you have it, guys. That is my top 10 for the best fishing kayaks of 2021. Again, go watch my video from last year if you want a little bit of history of kayak fishing. Those are the reasons why. Don't forget that SCRAPE acronym. I'll throw that in the description box below as well. And I think it's a good checklist for how you buy a fishing kayak. And now you guys weigh in and let me know your thoughts. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? What boat did you say, man, I can't believe you forgot insert kayak here? And tell me if I'm completely off base with anything. But guys, let me run through them one more time. Number 10, the Vibe Shearwater. Number 9, the Wilderness Systems Recon 120. Number 8, the New Canoe Unlimited. Number 7, the Vibe Sea Ghost 130. Number 6, the Old Town Big Water PDL 132. Coming in at number 5, the Jackson Bite and Jackson Bite FD, the Flex Drive. Coming in at number 4, the Native Titan 12. Number 3 is my baby, the Bonafide SS127. Number 2, the Hobie Pro Angler 360. And the winner of this year's Best of 2021 fishing kayak would be the Old Town Sportsman 136. Guys, if you're new to this channel, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe if you're new to the channel, so I can, you'll get a notification each and every time I release some new content. And help support the channel by joining Kayak Bass Fishing. I've got a link in the description box below. That's how we're going to continue to push the envelope for growing this community. Again, that's it, guys. Happy New Year. Happy 2022. I hope you guys all have a prosperous year. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting out on the road again and catching some big old bass. And I'll see y'all in the next video. There he is.
Yeah! Look at that tank! Fish on!